Can I share something real quick about Nico Jackson?
He's asking permission. He's got that twinkle in his eye, Keefe. I'm a little bit
I know.
worried.
That's why I'm like, it's gonna be something where I'm like, you can refute it, but it's gonna take me 10 minutes to do it. Hello and welcome to episode 96 of Draft Offsides. I'm with Tiko and Enzo. My name is Keefe. And what do we got today, guys? What's going on? What's on your minds?
Kudus is on the horizon. I'm in two minds about it because I don't like the fucker. And
This to me, I'm really having a hard time coming to terms with you not liking Kudus. Like, what is that about? It seems like the type of player that you'd be excited about.
it's how he acted at Tottenham.
Well, you got one red.
He got one, but he was acting like a dick. So I'm
But-
worried that might happen again.
But okay, but if Cunha would have came, Cunha was also gotten multiple reds for acting like a dick. You would have been.
That
ecstatic.
wasn't against Tottenham.
Oh,
What did he do?
I can't remember, but he got red carded, and that's when he went. That was after I traded him to Sergey. He also
so there's
did.
some personal.
It's personal. And
Okay,
he didn't
before-
replay that well last season. Let's be honest, didn't replay that well.
He didn't play well last season, but I think we all think that he's a good player, right? Like
But
ultimately,
50 million,
no, that's just the going rate these days.
and the annoying
Price of
thing
eggs
is,
has gone up. You know,
I know it's fucking ridiculous. But the annoying thing is, this happens every season. Like Tottenham gets like rumors for this player, and all of a sudden they go to somewhere else, and it just goes down the pecking order, and we always seem to get our fourth or fifth or sixth choice.
and then you end up getting like a Brennan Johnson regen.
Exactly.
Yeah,
The audacity of this person getting upset because like his first, second, and third, fourth choice don't want to join like the 16th or 17th place team in the EPL.
Yes, that's not the. Why are you living in the past? We're now in the Champions League. It's about to be a brand new season, a brand new coach.
It's not the past. It's literally the last season. Oh, so he kicked a defender while he was down, and then he slapped him in the face.
Mm-hmm.
nice, yeah. That's
And then
good.
Richarlison came in and took a dive.
Nice.
on the
That
floor
sounds
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they won
Love
that
that.
game 4-1, so it was a frustration foul.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, just really touching on the passing of Diogo Jota, super sad, really shocking. I mean, I was trying to think of the last time a player like of that caliber and that level passed, and it's really hard to think about, and it's also just really hard to just come to terms with. And I know we have a lot of Liverpool fan friends, and it's been a tough week for soccer people around the world, huh?
Yeah, the community came all together. Obviously, there's still players playing in the competitions, but man, that one was like one of those things where you wake up considering has 3 kids, wife, the parents, everything.
Oh.
You're like, it's one of those things. I don't know if you guys saw this year during the NHL All-Star game, there was 2 brothers who were playing hockey. Same thing happened. Like there was an accident, both of them passed
man.
away. So stuff like that, when it happens, I feel like it brings not just obviously the sports world, but just everyone together, and it's just tragic.
Yeah, really
Yeah,
sad.
Very unexpected. The only other one I could think about this was the player that was meant to go to a Premier League team and die in a plane crash. That was
The helicopter. Yeah, that was also really tragic.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
tragic too. But it's never expected.
Yeah. I mean,
Unless
life is so fragile, huh?
Yeah.
Just really gotta.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. Yeah. Okay, trying to keep things moving. Madueke to Arsenal. This just is starting to pick up steam.
I think it's a good move for Arsenal, to be honest.
Well, he plays pretty good off the left, so it's like the idea of him providing competition for Martinelli and being backup for Saka seems like a pretty versatile position or player for them. For
Well,
what they need.
What confuses me is that Rodrigo is still in the mix also. So would you start Madueke over Rodrigo?
I don't think there's any world in which they get both of them and a striker.
This move doesn't make sense to me, to be honest. Both for Madueke and Arsenal. I mean, I guess for Arsenal it does make sense. You're getting backup player, but why would Madueke want to go there? It seems like similar situation where it's going to be a plethora of players at the same position. So if you want playing time, that's not the team you want to go to.
I think he probably backs himself to beat Martinelli in a competition.
Well, there's also
on the left.
Trossard. It's not just Martinelli.
Yeah,
But Trossard's a bench player for Arsenal.
He
Don't get me
seems
wrong,
like he
I think
comes
he's
off
a
the
good
bench a lot.
player, but he's just coming off the bench.
yeah. I think that would be the idea that Madueke backs himself to beat Martinelli on the left and also get some game time on the right. But yeah, Tiko, I get that, and I also think it's not that much different from him being at Chelsea. If anything, it's a less crowded backfield than
Yeah.
at Chelsea. So the one thing that I just think would be so funny is if we sell Madueke, if Chelsea sells Madueke to Arsenal to help fund a purchase of Rodrigo. You know what I mean? That would be like the ultimate like haha.
That would be, and that would be hilarious.
But I think the issue with Rodrigo, and I think the reason why no clubs are signing him is just I obviously like transfer fee is one thing, but I think the other part is I think his wages are just too much. Like I think he's asking for too much money. Like I don't have any real backing for that. Like I haven't read that anywhere, but I just get this feeling like the Premier League is really working so hard on like these wage structures. Like Chelsea's team they're all not paid a lot, and it's very incentive driven, the contracts, and I think that. Like a Rodrigo, it's going to ask for so much money. It's going to be near impossible to do that.
Like 400 bags?
Well, even in the threes, there's not a lot of players at Chelsea that out of any that are getting north of 3.
That's surprising.
So, yeah.
That's surprising. But yeah, I don't know. But Madueke to Arsenal, I think would be a good fit for me. Like, he'll go down the left. He'll be more attacking. He's, like you said before, Keefe, he does get a lot of shots on goal and creates opportunities. So
yeah, very
something
direct.
they need. Yeah, they want more goals, and they're not going to get a striker. So
I think the Bucharest thing is starting to move a little quicker, is what I'm reading from Arsenal. So which would be interesting. And
that's
that was,
what I'm saying too.
We have that convo on our pod last week with Joe about Gorkrez and where he goes in drafts. And I think that's a pretty good like mid second. It seems like where he goes, and pretty juicy proposition at that point, I think.
Yeah.
The other one, the Arsenal that's heating up is an Eze rumor, which again, that one to me makes less sense. Like I guess it's just the versatility, but I think if Eze goes to Arsenal, doesn't that downgrade like every player? Like that downgrades Odegaard to me, that downgrade Martinelli to me, like all these guys, like not so much because I think that like he's gonna automatically take every spot, but just that it's just there's gonna suddenly be a rotation thing going on there.
It just doesn't make sense. Like especially with Noni going there right now, like that's one less spot that he can try to take. Like he is a number 10, so you'd think he would be fine with Odegaard, but Odegaard's a staple, isn't he? Isn't he like a team captain? Do they take that? So it just doesn't make any sense for me for Eze to go to Arsenal. Like he would do well if there was a spot open, but from the looks of it, Noni's already going and he's already on his way.
I think it's either. I mean, I can't imagine. Again, it's one of those situations. I can't imagine they signed both Noni and Eze.
You think you think Eze's just doing this to try to get a better contract at Palace? That could be like, it seems to be like the running trend right now in the league. Right now, everyone's trying to do it.
That'd be funny. Definitely be funny. Semenyo re-signed with Bournemouth, so those kind of rumors are gone. Sorry, Enzo, I know he was rumored to go to Tottenham. Would you have been excited about that?
I would have loved to have had him at Tottenham. Especially with all the rumors about Son not starting and maybe going to Fenerbahce, or it would make more sense. I would still, even if you got Kudus who plays on the right, I'd like to get someone that plays on the left. Unless you're going to play freaking Madders off that left-hand side, which he's done before, but isn't his true position. So, but Semenyo going to Bournemouth, that's great for Bournemouth, and he had a great season last season, and he could do similar things again this season. So,
yeah, I think Semenyo, that signing that solidifies him as like an early second-round pick.
Yeah,
and then the last one, Kyle Walker to Burnley. I mean, there's not much to say. Kyle Walker was barely a fantasy asset when he played for City. I think the only kind of funny thing, did you watch the announcement video?
No,
it was so weird. It was like Lionel Richie. It was odd. And then there's like a sculpture. Yeah, it's exactly that. It's like cuts from that music video. Then all of a sudden, like Kyle Walker is like a sculpture that he's holding of Lionel Richie. He's like, I'm here. It's very weird.
God,
it's very odd.
The reason I added Walker in there was because Burnley being a lower team means that hopefully it looks like some of the pieces they got. They also got Edwards, which we'll speak about later. They've got some attacking pieces. Even with Walker being a defender, he can get up and down that wing and maybe like free them up from getting like. Because I'm pretty sure, are they still playing out from the back? I'm assuming, even though Company's gone.
I think it's a different structure for sure. I don't know.
Then it should work out for them. We'll see.
I also think it's like so hard to know because like the teams that have tried last few years, the teams that have tried to play the same way they played in the Championship in the Premier League have gotten absolutely crushed. So you're hoping that some of these teams learn that they need to adjust and do like the Thomas Frank, where they like very much adjust how they played from the Championship to the Premier League and slowly ease their way into like a new style of play. That would be the hope, you know.
Yeah,
I think really enough Walker will have more value on Burley than he did with City.
I think so too.
Just more defensive, like plays, interactions, points.
I just more stuff will go through him. Just I don't know all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Actually, okay, I see it.
Yeah.
I get it. I like that.
And then I just pulled up Fabrizio's Twitter account just to see if there was any new updates. And the top thing he has pinned is usually when he pins something, it's pretty much a done deal. Gyökeres or however we're pronouncing it. Yeah, it's pretty much closer to signing it. It's pretty much a done deal. Personal terms agreed on. So it's just between the teams, and he's not going to return to training at Sporting Lisbon. The other thing is Kudus is not talking to any other club. He just wants Tottenham. So that's the other one that's on there. And Marcus Rashford, no surprise here, he's pretty much not in the plans for Man U.
Marcus Rashford offers himself to Barcelona is like the funniest. It's like, yeah, I offered myself to Dua Lipa. That doesn't mean
it's funny because like that door is now open though. If you really think, because Nico Williams just re-signed with Atletico Bilbao again.
Oh, can we talk about that?
No, I was just saying that the door's open for it. That's all I was saying.
But can we talk about Nico Williams?
No, there's no point in doing that. He's not.
Yeah, well, let's talk about him after. It is funny though. It's like very funny. Anything else? I think there was the what are we talking about? Gyökeres and then Zubimendi is official too first. So
yeah. Zubimendi is official.
Are we going
to talk about Partey?
Nah.
Let's stay out of that one.
But I'm just saying he's gone, so now that is solidified that Zubimendi
in more than one way.
That's what you wanted to talk about. I don't think that's what you wanted to talk about.
That's how I wanted to link it. I didn't want to talk about like, he's fucking done. I mean,
how much of a monster he is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So definitely an Arsenal player.
Were you guys surprised that Villa didn't want to buy Rashford?
A little bit, especially considering how much starting time he got over Ollie Watkins. What does that mean? What does that mean for Ollie Watkins? You know, I feel like Ollie Watkins, like Emery, like kind of disrespects Watkins.
I don't think he disrespects him. I think Emery plays who's in form, and like Watkins was dolphining. I
feel like every time Watkins came on, he scored a goal. I feel like every time he was involved, he would score a goal, and then he would just get benched again. I don't know if that's just like my brain remembering it incorrectly, but it felt that way for big chunks of the season.
I feel like Aston Villa would have got them if they didn't get Champions League, right? They're in Europa.
That is true.
If they had got Champions League, like, Asensio's not on the books no more, right?
No.
He's back at
it's actually been weirdly quiet on the Villa front this transfer window, if you haven't noticed.
But it's been quiet for a lot of teams, perfectly honest. Not that many teams did early business, besides, Chelsea, obviously.
Liverpool,
Man United, Man City. Those 4 teams went early, but everyone else has been pretty quiet when you look at the transfers made so far this season.
It's a little unrelated from the EPL, but did you see John Duran, who went from Villa to Saudi? He's
at Besiktas?
Fenerbahce.
Yeah, I mean, another player like just getting out of Saudi, but it sounded like his setup was really weird, right? Weren't you telling me that he like had to live in a different country,
like very far away? Yeah,
because he lived with his girlfriend, and he wasn't allowed to live in the same house as a woman he was not married to.
Yeah, just
some odd stuff going on.
Yeah.
Okay, get into another section right now. So this is something that Tiko brought up that I thought was really good, and we've talked about a lot in like passing, and it's just about kind of honing in on a little bit. It's talking about like rotation risk, and then also that versus like starter uncertainty, and what the difference between the two are, and how they kind of affect ranking players. I think like the poster boy for this is Man City, and how do you like deal with a team where there's going to be so much rotation? And all these players, when you look at like points per start, are some of the elite players, but a lot of them aren't getting the amount of games that would make them elite. They aren't getting 30 plus games. They're getting closer to 20. And how do you kind of then rank them? And how do you guys kind of come to terms with that?
So for Man City, and before I go into like my thought process, I want to throw this out to you guys as well, just so you guys have some time to think about it. Watching the Club World Cup, the roster that Pep used. Do you guys think that's going to be the rotation, or do you guys think that plays a factor or not? So that's what I was looking at as well. But for City to be obviously the person who sits atop is Haaland. That's the one person who's going to start pretty much 90+% of the games. So without a doubt, Haaland, if he's there, you take him and you don't have to worry about him at all. The one to me that's going to be very interesting is Omar Marmoush. He came out last year when Haaland was injured. He was scoring goals, and then even when Haaland was in the rotation, he was still playing some minutes. But I just don't understand how they're going to fit in. And obviously, the biggest thing is Doku, not Doku. I'm sorry, Foden, who last year had a terrible year after having an amazing year from 2 years ago. Those are the top three that are, to me, I think they have the highest potential, the upside, and the lowest risk of being rotational players. The ones that are a nightmare to own from the front midfield and forwards are Foden and Savio.
Yeah,
Those are yeah.
And then what about Shirky then? How does that fall into it?
To be honest, that one I'm still I'm not sure where he's going to play, what position he's going to play, how he's going to fit in. I probably wouldn't draft him unless it's like an amazing value pick. But I don't think he's going to be on the board until like the 4th, 5th round for it to be a value pick. But it's so difficult coming from the French league, which we know it's not that competitive. But he is a great player. He did have a good Club World Cup. I think he had a couple of goals. But again, I just don't understand where it's going to fit. And there's also like the Nico Gonzalez's, Rodgers coming back in the midfield. So it's going to be a complete like shit show there. To me, it's I wouldn't waste a high draft value on those players with the old uncertainty.
Yeah, there's a lot of risk. You're right. There's a lot of risk. And I agree with the Haaland Marmoush. I think they honestly, I know you think about rotation, but I think he'll find a way to get them started. But yeah, Savinho, Doku, Foden, I'm not sure if they'll get rotated week in, week out with Champions League and all the cups. That's what you worry, is that they get focused on the FA Cup or the League Cup. But like I see a couple other names on there. Like I feel like Emory and Vardiol should be like playing 9% of the season this season with the defenders that they have, and you should be able to get some value out of them.
The scary thing about the thing about Vardiol is when he started the year, he was playing left back. He was putting up amazing numbers, scoring goals, going to the top, key passes, all of that stuff. But then because of injuries, he switched to center back. That's when I feel like his production towards the end of the year, the numbers were not there, and he was more clean sheet dependent. And I'm looking at the last few games from last year: 6 points, 12, 9.5, 3.5, 10.5. Compared early on, where it was mostly like 20, 17, 21, 14. And to me, Arnori is the player that has the highest potential from the defense, and he's someone that I think he's one of the players that's going to have the highest breakthrough. So,
yeah, I think with that Nori there, and I also think with Nico O'Reilly, he was one that took the role. I think he's probably going to play that backup. I think Vardiol might play a few games at left back, but for the most part, it's going to be center back, and you're not going to get those same numbers. So I think Vardiol is a bit of a chop player, to be honest with you, this year. Like he would have been a good. We have a bus section coming up. He actually would have been a really good one to put on there, because he's definitely someone that he's dropped way down on boards compared to the point totals that he scored last year, because I think we're just a little too wise to what's going on there. But yeah, Tiko, I kind of agree with you. I think that Haaland is the one that's like, he's on a plane of his own, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I mean, I think it's Foden for me. If I was ranking it, I think it's Foden for me. And then it gets really weird. And then I totally agree. And then because you see the potential with Marmoush, but are you really going to risk it? And then Doku, Savinho, I feel like they're starting to get priced in a little more. I think 3rd, 4th round for the when they play, you start them, but then there's going to be games where you can't play them. And then I think there's other like Reinders is another very interesting proposition too. And it's not like he's not going to be he's not probably not going to be an elite point creator, but he did score 10 plus goals in Serie A last year. He is like capable of doing that, and he also kind of fills more that like Gunderlin, Silva role as a little more of like an industrial midfielder that there's also kind of has that creative flair. So I could see him getting more game time than Savinho and Judoku, just not getting as high like point per game scores.
It's going to be about how Pep plays too. He's going to change his tactics and how they're going to play. Are they going to try to keep the ball? Because last season they were caught on the counterattack so much. Are they going to try to solidify that midfield, or are they going to go gung ho, just go Barcelona and try to score more goals than everybody else?
Okay, I have an idea. So we're all working on our rankings right now, and we're gonna have those up, and we'll probably have those out for next week's episode. I'm gonna search and find where you guys have Doku, for example. Is that you guys cool with me doing that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have
Me-
him ranked yet. Well, I think I actually might.
Me, I have Jeremy Doku at 33. Enzo, you have Jeremy Doku at 47. Tiko, you have Jeremy Doku at 36. So that's interesting. So Enzo, you're actually the lowest of us on him.
I have Savio ranked much higher than Doku. I have him 26th.
That's really interesting too. So what to me that's also really tricky because I don't see that much difference between Savio.
No,
and Doku.
I have Savio at 45.
Yeah, you have both of them. Enzo, you have no desire, huh?
No,
So-
just because it's the things that we spoke about before. And you're talking about it right now, rotation. Am I going to take these players that are going to be rotation players, and we're not sure if they're going to start every game, or if they're going to come off the bench, or am I going to choose players that will start and can get me some points that could win me games?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's team construction, right? Like if you have a lot of
Mhm.
really safe players, maybe it makes sense to like splash on like one of these guys, like a Shirky or something later, where you're like, oh, this guy could have so much upside, and if he doesn't play, at least I have like a really steady baseline that I don't need him every week. Then it makes more sense to pick up a guy like that.
Yeah.
So the fantrax official ranking for these players, I'm just going to go read that up to Jeremy Doku. So first it's Haaland ranked 7, Marmoush was ranked 19th, Phil Foden ranked 34th, Rodri ranked 37, which is kind of surprising, and then Savio
That's high.
41 and Doku at 50. So
Interesting.
even fantrax has Savio ranked higher than Doku.
That's the Fantrax official ADP that you're looking at.
Official ADP, yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Vardiol,
and they
66.
also have
Yeah.
Where do you guys have Foden?
Shirky, 59. I have Foden a little earlier myself.
Me too.
Maybe I'm a little too optimistic on Foden. I think Foden's someone I'm kind of optimistic on this year. 23.
Well, I got him at 34.
I have him 23rd. Well, you're really low on City players, but
I get it. It's just not worth it's not worth the risk for him. I get it. But I'm thinking that if I can get Foden in the third, I think he can deliver second round value fairly easily, personally.
Yeah.
But there's also a chance that he just doesn't. He just has a year like last year. So
And that's the
I totally
worry.
get it. Okay, and then I think that so City's like kind of its own thing, I think. And then the other kind of type of team that's interesting is like a Chelsea, where it's not so much like I'm sure there will be rotation, but I think the concern is starter uncertainty. I think Chelsea's like this. I think Tottenham's like this with some roles, where it's not so much like I know all these guys are going to play. They might only get 20 games. It's like with some of these other teams, it's like who is going to be the starter. So with Chelsea, we've talked about it a lot with the wingers, and with Estevao coming in, with Madueke still there, with Pedro Neto, with João Pedro suddenly coming in, and Liam Delap and Nicholas Jackson, and it's like who are the ones that you can really rely on? How are you guys handling those situations?
It's going to be the same way, isn't it? As C, because you don't know who to start. And it went all last season. Like there's only a couple players on Chelsea where last season where you knew they were going to start. Like Nico Jackson was one of them, but now Nico Jackson isn't one of them. Like Cole Palmer is going to start week in, week out, and he should start week in, week out. I think Enzo Fernandez is a week, but the wingers, it's the side pieces that aren't going to. I'd almost want to just pick a Cucurella and hope on that going down the wing.
But I guess my question is, do you devalue them in rankings as much as you devalue like a Doku Savinho, or was it just more of are you willing to take a risk on a guy on a winger for like a Chelsea or the Kulu Madison situation at Tottenham? Are you willing to take a risk there? Just try and do some research and really try and make it educated guess who the starter is and like risk that, or would you rather? Because I guess it's two sides of the same thing where it's one is you get 20 games, but when they play, they're great. And the other one is you're hoping to get 30 games from like a Kulusevski and just hope that he's the starter over Madison on Tottenham's, for example, or hope that Pedro Neto starts 30 plus games for Chelsea because he ended the season well and has been playing a lot in the Club World Cup.
I think you got to take in all the factors, and you can take the risk. And you've said it before: high risk, high reward. Especially if they do get the starting spot, and they're all good players. Let's be honest, they're not bad players on this Chelsea team. It's just whether or not they fit into the Enzo Maresca role. You probably know better than us, Keefe, perfectly honest.
Well, I guess for me, it's like I look at like Savinho and Doku, and like even though you're not going to get all the starts, you know that when they do come in, they usually end up scoring. And I think there's more value in that than like taking a risk on the third round for a guy that might only play 10 times. You know what I mean? As opposed to, but even though like the upside is higher, right? Like, he could be a 35 game player and he could, deliver like way better on his value. I worry that there's just this chance that he doesn't do that and he just becomes a bit part player in the team, like an Estevao or something. Is it just too young and doesn't really get those starts, or Pedro Neto doesn't kind of continue his form throughout the season. So to me, it's almost the Doku Savinhos are almost like, it's like, what they are, and you more so than like what's going to happen with like a Pedro Neto or a James Madison Kulusevski with a new coach situation for Tottenham.
And their ceiling for Doku and Savio is much higher. Those are players, if they start, you expect them to score 15 plus points.
Yeah, on an individual game basis. For sure.
Yeah. To me, with Chelsea is like I was going to draft Liam Delap. I thought it was going to overtake Nico Jackson. You guys know how I dislike Nico Jackson as a striker, as a player, almost even as a human. But now with João Pedro coming in there, it drops, all three of them are dropped lower. Even though I feel like Pedro could probably play on the right wing as well, especially with Madueke
on
gone.
the left wing, but
on the wings as well. But to me, from the one thing with Chelsea is they're going to get Champions League again. They're not going to play in that conference competition where they played like their sixth winger and they still won, But Estevao is someone who I'd rather draft him than Liam Delap.
You know what's funny? I still think Nico Jackson's actually better than both of them.
You're delusional.
I'm being serious.
I mean, there's things. The one thing that's interesting with Chelsea, and this could also make it more of a headache, is I think they each do different things really well. So Liam Delap is this classic like bruiser center forward. Nico Jackson's really good at running in behind, really good at like balls in transition. João Pedro is incredible as like almost like this false nine, like link up play striker, and like they all do very different things.
Yeah, but what one thing does Nico Jackson do more than they do?
He's much better running in behind. He's much better at holding the ball up in the midfield.
So he's very composed until he gets in front of goal. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the best at missing opportunities.
But he gets the opportunities.
His big chances missed wasn't that crazy compared to a lot of other players.
There's
a little bit of an internet agenda against him.
Yeah, I think so too.
Tiko.
Like, look, very much led by Tiko. I think
and my brother.
And you. Well, that's okay. Anyway, Nico Jackson, I still think is better than Liam Delap and Pedro at this point in time. Can they surpass him? Maybe with form, but I still think Nico Jackson, his worst enemy is himself.
Yeah, he's in such the doghouse for Chelsea though with Maresca, so we'll see. Yeah. Even if he's better, who knows if he's going to get the starts?
Yeah,
Delap scored 12 goals on Ipswich.
Okay, doesn't mean that he's going to score 12 goals on a Chelsea team.
Nico scored 10 goals.
Yeah, but Nico's also injured for a third of the season, if not more.
One played 30 games, started 28. Delap played, 37, 32.
But it's completely different teams, mate. You know what I mean?
I get that.
Like you play in a low block or you play against an open backfield. Like seeing all that grass in front of you is completely different to playing against teams that are playing five in the back.
Yeah, I mean, I think all this discussion just lends itself to the bigger point that we're trying to make here is that it's that how do you really draft these guys accordingly? And I think my position is that you have to like push them back a little bit. Even if you have really like Enzo, you clearly have strong conviction on Nico Jackson, but you still have to acknowledge that he might not win that spot. And like if he did, you probably dropped him in the second or third. But now he's probably not on your board until what, the fourth, fifth, sixth.
I'm not sure. I've got him.
I'll look for you
there somewhere.
I'll look for you.
I think I got Delap before him. I know that.
Yeah, you have Nico Jackson 58.
Yeah,
which I think makes sense, and I think, but that's and you have Savinho and Doku ahead of him, and that's because you know that they're gonna get playing time. So I think that's kind of the point I was kind of thinking, and I feel like even if like I think you guys are kind of there too, just in your rankings, is that these guys, the rotation players, even though they're not going to get you 30 games. Just knowing that they are going to be coming in and out is more valuable than taking a risk on a guy that's
Agreed.
might not get you anything.
Agreed.
Can I share something real quick about Nico Jackson, or we want to move on?
I'm just asking permission.
I have to share my screen, so
Oh, I don't. What? Okay. What? Yeah,
that's
sure.
real quick. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see, which one was it?
Look at this guy.
There
He's
we
got that twinkle in his eye, Keefe. I'm a little bit
I know.
worried.
That's why I'm like, it's gonna be something where I'm like, you can refute
This
it. But it's
is
gonna take me 10 minutes.
The
to do
missed
it.
shots in open play for last year. Look at all these ones. Missed shots.
Why is there a big red one on the 6-yard box?
Because big shot.
You're a fool.
And these are just all the missed shots in general. See, another one.
Okay.
It's actually a pretty cool stat. It's not even safe shots. These are not they're not blocked. These are shots that made it all the way through, and he just missed the goal.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you guys want to hear the list of the big chances missed in the Premier League in 24-25?
Yeah, go on.
Ollie Watkins is number 1 with 27.
Wow.
Mohamed
Jesus.
Salah is number 2 with 24. Erling
Volume
Haaland is
shooter.
number 3 with 21. Nicholas Jackson is number 4 with 19. Alexander Isak is number 5 with 18. So as far as big chances missed go, like he's in elite territory, and but you know what I mean. Like, but he's also but he's around names that are all very highly
they're all-
regarded and aren't perceived as missing big chances.
Because they're all getting in opportunities. You got to get the opportunity to score. You got to
Yeah.
get there. You got to get in the right space. You got to get in the right area.
Yeah.
So
But we don't need to argue. I feel like we can move on from.
yeah.
So the other team. So we talked about City. We talked about Chelsea. We talked a little bit about Tottenham. But I also we talked about this last week, Enzo, a little bit. But the Kulusevski Madison to me is the really fascinating thing in that team, and who's going to play in that 10. And I think there's also a chance that Thomas Frank changes the system, because he's done that when Brentford was in the championship, to when Brentford came into the Premier League, to Brentford now, to so going to Tottenham. I don't think there's this automatic thing that there's going to be this Damsgaard rule that we're talking about. I don't think it's as automatic that happens. There's a very high probability that they play like a 3-5-2 or they do something else completely as well. But I just think that it's going to be interesting on that team. With Son, like what you mentioned, that he might, the uncertainty there. It sounds like he might be staying another year. I saw that though.
Yeah,
But,
that could happen too. But I've heard he's not going to start, which is absurd if you're going to keep him, in my opinion. So,
I mean, you're going to start Bart Simpson over him?
dude,
Who did you start on the left for Charleston, potentially?
Richarlison might be leaving too. I heard he's trying to leave because he wants more game time. So
You know what the one funny thing is that Richarlison's profile really reminds me of Kevin Schotter a little bit in the way he plays. Yeah, like they have a similar like crashing the back post, like good in the air. Like there's a level of them that I could see him playing, Richarlison playing off the left and doing well for Tottenham.
He played there last year, or was it 2 years ago?
No, he plays on the left. He's playing on the
He
left.
plays off the left. Yeah, I think he's probably better off the left. I think people tried to turn him into a striker and it didn't quite.
No, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Well, you spend that much money on him, you know what I mean? Fuck me.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the Kulu Madison, I just don't know, because Kulu did so well in that 10 role. But I think we're also thinking back, and I thought about this after the pod last week, that in that Big Ange team, like Madison got benched a bunch and Kulu got used more in there. But this isn't Big Ange's team anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's Thomas Frank.
It's also last year such a weird year to use Tottenham as an example of how the players will do this year, because initially we thought Madison was going to be the main person, but then it was Kulusevski after he was benched 2 years ago. But then last year when Kulusevski was the main guy, you saw how the team did in the Premier League, and even in the Europa, he was injured, right? Was he playing Kulusevski in the Europa League run, or he got hurt?
He got hurt near the end, but he was playing.
Yeah, so to me, I think the upside from Madison is, I mean, I'm a huge Madison fan. I think the upside for him is so much better. So to me, if I had to draft them, I don't think I would draft Kulusevski in the second round. I'd rather wait and take Madison in the third round.
Yeah, I think we talked about that. I think those are the same concerns. I don't think that they're baked in enough that the chance that one of them might play the other, but there's also a chance that they both play. So there is maybe that is it. Maybe those are the right spots for them. Okay, the next team I want to talk about is Brighton, and I feel like they're kind of like City light in the sense that the rotation that happens on that team is pretty brutal, but the points they generate are nowhere near City level points.
No.
So
And,
then what does that leave you? Because like João Pedro's gone from there now. So what, Gruda is all of a sudden interesting?
yeah, that's one of the ones I put up for later
Yeah.
on. He could
And
take
then,
up.
and then you're always going to take Matoma, right? But even then,
Mhm.
there's rotation even there for their star player.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't feel
Like,
great.
who really starts week in, week out for the centre backs? That's it.
Yeah.
Maybe not even that at times. But to be honest, he switches them out too. But someone's got to take that João Pedro spot, and who's going to fill up the goals, and who has the opportunity to? And I think Gruda has Welbeck for half a season
for the first half, first 10 weeks.
Yeah.
I actually think that Brighton, in the same way that City, I think there's going to be some value to be found on Brighton. It's just about who it is and how you find it, and it's kind of like winning a lot, like lottery picks from there. But I think there's going to be some value that's pushed down in drafts for everything that we're talking about now, where people don't really want to mess with the rotation stuff, but if they get the right guy, they're going to get some good value. If like Gruda all of a sudden fills in for that João Pedro role, and all of a sudden you're getting him, you get 25 games out of him starting, and where he's going in drafts, it's great. Or like, if it's Welbeck, or if it's maybe Enciso comes back to Brighton and has a really good season, Buonanotte, there's like a bunch of different guys.
There's so many.
Yeah, that could all of a sudden really thrive.
Solly March.
So yeah, I mean, if he suddenly rises from the dead, his knee gets a bionic knee, and he's back out there.
Stand away from that fucker.
Okay, then the Arsenal question, I think for me, it's not so much about the team now, because that team now is so paper thin, but it's about like if pieces come in. So if Eze comes in, that downgrades Odegaard, Martinelli. If Nkunku comes in, I'm sorry, not Nkunku. If Madueke comes in, that downgrades Martinelli for me. If Gyökeres comes in, or even Sesko, that really downgrades Kai Havertz for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Does Kai Havertz even start if they get a striker?
I don't think so, but that's
they're
not going to put him in the midfield role again.
I think that was a little bit of a failed. I think they might if they were really desperate, but like that's what Mikel Marino's there for. That's what they have all these players there all of a sudden. They have Norgard now. They have Zubimendi. They have more guys.
I think Havertz starts on the short week when they play Burnley. That's it.
Like, I can see him. Starter. Yeah, I agree 100%. We can talk about that. He's actually in our bust section. And then Villa is the one that's so interesting to me, because that was such a headache last year. With you guys both had Ollie Watkins with Duran, and then all of a sudden it's Rashford, then it's Asensio, and they're all rotating in, and you can't really start any of them. But now without they don't have the personnel to concern you right now, and I think part of that, Enzo, to your point, was just about how they don't have Europe, so all of a sudden their budget's constricted. But it'll be interesting to see if they try and splash some cash by the end of the year and what that looks like. But that's a team to keep an eye on for that reason, because it's Emery's prone to it if he has the capabilities.
And he's pretty stubborn when it comes to his lineup. He puts out basically the same lineup every week.
But then he was switching it so much, right?
Because he brought in all those players.
So he brought in all those players.
Like you said, now they're back down to what they have. It's going to be Morgan Rogers, Tillemans, McGinn, Watkins. That's who he's going to have.
Man, I can't imagine another whole season of McGinn. He looked like he was dead on his feet by the end of last year.
I think their trajectory is going downward
because they missed Champions League.
Because they missed Champions League, and they didn't bring any players, and I just don't think they're going to do that well in the EPL. And it's just how many years in a row can you essentially bring back the same core?
Yeah, and who's going to be the goalkeeper? That's another key one, perfectly honest, because they play from out the back.
Good question. It doesn't sound like Martinez is going to be back there, huh?
No, I don't think Martinez is going to be back there.
Oof. Okay, yeah. So those are kind of just, we just wanted to talk about some of those teams that have a lot of rotation and certainty. I hope that was helpful. It felt helpful to talk through it. Yeah. Okay, then now that we've been making our rankings and we've seen a draft and we're looking at ADP on fantrax is officially up. We wanted to kind of go through some really early sleepers. So these are people that, as of right now, we're kind of seeing sleepers. They might change on draft boards. So we have 2 each, and then we have 2 kind of early busts or guys that we're concerned about. Tiko, do you want to start with your early sleepers?
First one is a Manchester City player, Matheus Nunes. For the biggest thing for him is he got switched over to defense this year, He started all of Club World Cup games, and Pep has been raving about him, how important he's been on the as a right back. Last year, on the games he just played, I think he only started 19 games, and he played 26. From those games, the ones he qualified for clean sheets, he would have gotten an extra 40 points, which would have ranked him as the 24th in total points among defenders only. And this is again when he only started 19 games. So my assumption is he's going to start play more games, and obviously with the team they have in the clean sheets, I think has potential to be top 15 defender.
I like that one. I think it's all about that positional shift, right?
Yep.
It has my mouth watering just because of the positional shift, but it's also it's Manchester City. Who else do they have on that right side? Do they have anybody else that can play right back?
I don't think so.
Okay, then yeah.
Let me see who their defender. Well, they have the young kids, Rico Luis,
who's playing most.
You're gonna lose some time to him for sure.
Yeah, you're gonna lose some. And then Oscar with 2 Bs, he's a midfielder. He's not gonna play.
He's not gonna play right back.
Yeah,
you just want to bring him up. Okay. Go
yeah, I did. And then they just have their regular rotational players: Diaz, Akanji, Nathan Ake, so John Stones. The only I think sometimes if they decide to go 3 in the back, which maybe. I just don't. But
then Nunes still plays, you feel, in that 3 in the back. Yeah. Well, he plays as a wing back.
If he plays as a wing back, which would be more beneficial because he'll be a defender who plays more attacking. So I think he has just a bunch of upside for this year.
I think that's a really good shout, Tiko. I think that's a really, really good shout.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll just wait until someone else says it so Enzo sees it's a good point.
Who else do you have, Tiko?
This one is kind of in a Cody Gakpo. It's a little sad. We talked about, obviously, Diogo Jota, who passed away. And last year, Gakpo split the starts with Diogo Jota. So he still had 10 goals and 4 assists. So you would think he's going to get more playing time or opportunity. And he's going to be the only one who's going to play striker. Obviously, it's a terrible reason that he's going to get more opportunity. But he is someone who, in my opinion, he's probably going to have a better year just because of the tragic death of Jota.
Yeah, I mean
it could be, or they could just play Wirtz and Salah and Luis Diaz in the front 3, and that just because they have the depth now, and that just solidifies Luis Diaz. I don't think Luis Diaz will leave.
Well, who's going to play as the 9? Who's going to get in the box?
Luis Diaz.
But his best position is off the left. That's what he prefers. And Gakpo could also play the left as well. So I think he will just have more opportunity. And I don't think he's a player who's ranked high. I don't think he's a player that people try to draft because when you think about the Liverpool attack, I think he's like on the bottom of the totem pole. So I think he just might have a much better year this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I think where you're getting him in drafts, like, I mean, for me, I have him ranked at 49. What's his ADP? That's like right now. He's ADP 68. Yeah, I mean, you're talking 7th round for a guy that could potentially be like a 3rd round value if he actually gets the starts.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's solid.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay, Enzo, what do you have?
I got Gruder from Brighton. With Pedro leaving, it leaves big boots to fill. They had moments last season, and we saw that as we're watching. They only started 8 games, but they did play 21 games coming off the bench. They got 1 goal and 4 assists. I just feel like if he got more starts, if you really take that, like that's a goal every 2 games. I mean, that's an assist every 2 games, and a goal in 8. Unfortunately, but I think he can get more in this Brighton team. That's always quite attacking, especially on the counter. I think that he could come up, and I'm not sure where he's going ADP wise, but I think he could be a nice piece that could potentially take over Pedro's role in that Brighton team.
He's 133rd on the ADP on fantrax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I think we talked about the Brighton rotation a little bit, and that's the only maybe downside on him. But even at 133, so you're talking 14th round. Yeah, that's a really good one. I love that. Who else you got?
I'm going to talk about Marcus Edwards next. He just signed for Burnley. He came from the Portuguese league. He's the next Tottenham player also. He's classed as a forward, but plays as a winger. He's very attack-minded. He loves to dribble down the wings, get balls into the box. I feel like he has big potential with ghost points. Even on this Burnley team where they'll be playing a lot of counter-attack football. So he'll get some opportunities. And he'll be playing on that same side as Kyle Walker, who could potentially give him some nice passes down the wing. I think that he could, and I don't know. I don't think he even gets drafted. And if he does,
Nice.
very late.
I like that one. I feel like I've definitely haven't put in a lot. I haven't been putting a lot of effort into the championship players. I think the last few years has really turned me off them, but it is important to look at them. And it's a really good point. And I also feel like this. Do you think this is finally the year where a championship team comes in and knocks out one of the Premier League guys?
No,
Yes.
You do.
I don't.
Wolves.
Wolves,
so.
Brentford. I think there's a couple teams that have lost some key pieces that might have issues.
Last year without Cunha, that team's getting relegated.
Yeah.
Well, we said the same thing about Bournemouth last year when they lost Solanke.
I don't think I said that.
No one said that.
I said that.
Yeah. But the ironic thing is, the team Solanke went to almost got relegated.
You piece of shit. But you know the ironic thing is that he also won a cup, a European one at that, with the team.
All right. Let's not get this derailed here. Okay, I have two. Mine first one is Matt Weaver from Brighton. 11.5 points per start, 8.2 ghost points per start. 24% of only 24% of his points came from goals, assists, and clean sheets. With 10 starts, that's a solid amount of stats. He started the last 6 games to end the season. His ADP is 106. Yet his numbers are all his numbers, if you're like blind testing him without his name, would be closer to like a guy that should be going in like the 3rd, 4th round. So, I think the negative is that positionally he's a bit weird because he plays like right back, but he gets so up the field. He can play center mid. But I'm like, even though he's not the same type of player, just points wise, the way he does it kind of reminds me of like a Pascal Gross, like a regen for Brighton a little bit. So
yeah, I think we discussed him before about being that new Pascal Gross, and I think I picked him up at the end of last season, and he helped me, come 6th.
Whoa!
But he did put up points, and
you lost the circle jerk.
Oof. But yeah, I think he's a good one, especially going in the 11th round.
Yeah. So. Next, I have Beto from Everton. Surprisingly good points per start. He kind of felt like he was a little bit of a meme for his like lack of goals, but then he really turned it on for chunks. So 11.2 points per start, 7.2 ghost points per start, which is really good for strikers. And then his GACs, like his goals, assists, clean sheets, is only 35%, which is again very low for a striker. So it's very good ghosting for the striker position, which is usually pretty goal or assist dependent. And I also I think the biggest argument I have for him is just I really love the unit around him, the attacking unit with Alcaraz and McNeil all around him, like kind of supporting. I think any striker needs a good attack force around them to really thrive. Like any mediocre striker, that isn't going to create all their opportunities themselves. And he just seems like the type of guy that is going to thrive in a situation that's so positive like that.
So last year we were high on Beto after he got the start, but have you seen the striker they signed, Everton?
Yeah.
No, Barry, you think there's going to be competition? You think that the new striker from, I think he came from the Spanish league, Villarreal, wouldn't get the starts?
Calvert-Lewin left.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's Beto's position, and I think that this new guy Barry is probably going to get eased in. And I would maybe we'll see. I think it's super valid, but I feel like it's Beto's position to lose right now.
He scored for Villarreal. He scored 11 goals, and I think they finished like top 6. This guy is 6'5".
So, but Beto's big too. I mean, I think they're very similar profiles.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see. I just wanted to kind of we hadn't talked about this new striker side. I just wanted to kind of get your thought process on that.
Yeah, I think that's super. I mean, if he takes a position, maybe that's one way. If you get Beto, you got this guy too. You handcuff him. Just to play it safe. I think that's smart. Okay, let's move into the bus. Who do you guys, Tiko? Who do you have for your bus section?
First one, Madueke, player we talked about before. Last year, I think he put up good production value for Chelsea, especially when he was starting. But to me, he's most likely going to be back up to Saka. And then if he goes on the left wing, there's competition between Martinelli, Trossard. So I just don't think he's going to have the value that he did, especially where fantrax had him ranked. I just don't think he's a player I would take a chance on, especially considering it's a new team, new system, all of that stuff. I don't think he's just going to have any fantasy value. I think if he starts, he'll be a spot starter.
Yeah, I think we can. I think that he's one of those guys where if you know if you guarantee that he was going to start games, you'd be super happy with his production, as like you were last year. But it's just a matter of where he's going to get those games in any of the situations that he's linked to right now.
Yeah,
it doesn't look good, perfectly honest, for him.
No.
And then the other guy I have is Chris Wood. Last year, career year, 20 goals, 3 assists. I just don't think he's going to be able to replicate that year. I don't think Forest, as a team, they're going to be able to replicate the season they had from last year. He will also be turning 34 years old. And last year, the way he ended the year, the last 11 games, he only scored 2 goals and had 1 assist. And for a player very goal dependent at that age on a team that's overachieved last year, I would stay away from him.
I agree. I think there's a few things that could happen around him that is going to affect him. If Elanga leaves, does Callum Hudson-Odoi stay fit the whole season? Those are all things that help him out. Is Morgan Gibbs-White going to start the season the way he did last year? But I agree. I don't think he's going to score 20 goals and get 3 assists again. And this Forest team was a unicorn last season. So
they also brought in. I'm sorry. They also brought in that one of the strikers from, I think it was Botafogo, Igor Jesus.
Yes.
And they also had that other guy. I forget his name right now, but there was a striker that they were really excited about that they paid a bunch of money for a year ago.
And
he got injured right away. So yeah. I don't know. I'm just saying there's some other people around there too. So I kind of agree with that. Enzo, who do you have? Because we're not doing Tiko's third one.
I laughed when I saw it. I deleted it. All right. I got Obi-Wan Iwobi for Fulham. Overperformed fantasy-wise, 9 goals, 6 assists. Majority of which came from beginning to mid-season last season. If you really look at how he ended last year, like he did have some double-digit games, but you can see he's dolphining. He had like 3.5 and a 6 in there in the last few games. I just think he definitely overperformed. He was great for me. Great pick in the 6th round last season, but I don't think that's going to happen again. He's going pretty high, it looks like. His ADP is going to be high, and I think you're just going to be really pissed off if you pick him up.
Yeah, I think it's all about ADP for this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the concern is. And let's see actually where he's going. ADP 18, so in the 2nd round.
Yep.
Just feels a little early.
But you really got the only thing I think I have him still in the 3rd round next in my mock, only because of what he did last season, and maybe that's the only reason why.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I think I think he also overperformed his XG by a decent amount. Like not obviously like Chris Wood levels, but he was like almost a plus 4 XG plus 4 XG overperformer. His goals was 9 and his XG was 5.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, man. I just don't think he can replicate it in a Fulham team.
Yeah, I agree. I think the team factor too. Okay, who else do you have?
Brennan Johnson, Mr. Bart Simpson, Tottenham's top goal scorer last season. But with the likes of us signing Tell and maybe Kudus, who plays on that side, and tells who can play on that side, I think that he was benched enough last season to the point where he wasn't deemed a starter. So even though he's got 11 goals and 3 assists, and he'll go on like not too high, but he'll still go high enough where it'll piss you off, where I don't think he's going to even put in anything close to those numbers. It's a different team, different manager. Going to add some players, and I think we've already looked at his position with Kudus, so that's what's concerning.
I think that he very much was an Ange player, and the way that Ange really liked him arriving late at the back post and the speed at which he did stuff. And I mean, I'm not saying he can't find a way to adapt under Thomas Frank. I think that the play style just doesn't suit him as well as it did for Ange. So I agree.
Yeah.
All right, is it my turn?
Yeah.
First name I have on here is Jacob Murphy. A phenomenal season last year. I'm just really worried about, we've talked about this a few times now, but Newcastle's actively shopping for a right winger. Elanga rumored to be going there. That's really huge. I also just don't think that we've seen enough of a body of work of his over a long enough period of time for me to be excited about him, especially like where he's kind of going, like, 4th round, early 5th, to me just feels a little scary for potentially a backup.
Yeah.
And then my next one is Kai Havertz, and this is the one I've just been banging the drum on. I think we're all kind of in agreement, though. Now I don't think anyone's really arguing with me, but I was just so shocked to see him in the Draft Society mock go so early in the late 2nd, because I just don't see a world where Arsenal doesn't sign somebody up top. And if any sort of signing occurs, Kai Havertz immediately drops like the 5th round for me. Because I think
Oh yeah.
even if it is like a Sesko and they're rotating, then I still don't like think that the value is going to be there in the first 4 rounds to have a player who's like a rotation player in your squad. And so I think like the only scenario in which he returns any sort of 2nd or 3rd round value is if like they don't sign a striker. And if they don't sign a striker, I'm pretty sure Arsenal fans are going to riot. So I just don't see that world. No comments?
No, pretty much hit the nail on the head. We've already banged on about Kai Havertz. If, for example, just say they don't sign a striker, where would you sign? Where would you draft Kai Havertz? If they don't get Gyökeres or a Sesko, where would you draft Kai Havertz? 3rd round? Early?
Mid, early to mid, yeah. And be happy. Yeah, I'd be pretty happy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like pissed about it. Like, that's a good signing. Yeah. No, I think that's super. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And but if they do
Tiko,
sign,
what do you have to say, Tiko? You have something to say?
No, I have. I'm not a fan of Havertz. I would stay away from him.
Even if they don't sign anyone else?
I don't see a world where they don't sign anyone.
That's how I feel too. It's like
Yeah.
having
what world is this that you guys don't see? We've been living in this world for freaking 2 years that they haven't signed a striker. So
They
it's
signed
more
Havertz.
likely.
They signed Havertz.
He's
who was
not a
supposed to be
striker.
He wasn't supposed to be a striker.
They signed Gabriel Jesus.
How
What's
many
his
years ago
deal?
was that?
Is he still on the squad?
He is.
Yes.
So maybe he takes some time from Havertz too.
Recovering. No, remember he had that gruesome injury.
He had a bad injury.
Yeah. I mean, he's been.
He should be back though by this year. I mean, right?
Probably this year. Yeah, it's his year for Arsenal. I remember his first year; he was really good.
Yeah. I mean, he was getting drafted. I don't know if it was last year, if it was 2 years ago. He was getting drafted as like a 2nd, 3rd rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, his first year, I have his numbers up. He had 11 goals. So the following year, I think he was getting drafted in the 2nd round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So those are those sections. We just have some fun stuff for some would you rather's. Thanks for whoever put these in because I definitely didn't. Would you rather Delap, Jackson, or Pedro? João Pedro.
Are we giving reasons, or we just want to power through it?
Just answer it quick, and if we can go from there.
Pedro, Delap, waiver wire trash.
Okay.
Even though I think Nico Jackson's better than all three out of the 3 of them, I'm going to go Delap because I feel like he might get started ahead of all of them.
Interesting. I'm going João Pedro just in the sense that he's more versatile. So if he can win that starter role, great. But then he can also play on the left wing. He can also play in the 10. There's just a little more versatility there for him to get game time. Even though I think that there's gonna be games where I think João Pedro plays with Jackson or Delap. You know, but I don't think there's gonna be a lot. I mean, maybe there will, but I don't think that's the case for the other two.
And also Jackson starting the year on the red.
Yes, that too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, would you rather Cunha or Mbeumo?
Cunha easily. He just so much goals points. He does so much for the team. And I think
what team did he do that for?
Wolves. And I think with Bruno being there, it's going to take a lot of the pressure off of him as well. So I think Cunha's going to have a really good year.
Enzo?
I'm gonna go Mbeumo, just because I feel like Mbeumo. I think he can do a lot more on the Manchester United team because they go down the wings quite a bit. Cunha's going to be stuck in that middle, and I think Bruno's going to be just dominating the middle and wanting the ball all the time. So,
well, he's not even on the United team.
He will be.
He will.
He's going to be. We know he is. Everyone is. I'm going to go Mbeumo too. I think I'm ranked one position higher than Cunha. I think it's just the stability. I think Mbeumo just offers more. I think Cunha's just a little too like mercurial for me in the sense that like he might explode. He might, I don't know. There's a little more uncertainty there with like his attitude and personality and stuff. And I think I don't think there's that much daylight between them as far as ability. And so I think I just have to go on who I think is less likely to explode or do something stupid or get in a fight with his manager or something.
Yeah, and Mbeumo. Okay,
next one. Gordon or Havertz?
Gordon. What is happening here?
Well, think of it if there's no striker, if they don't get a striker.
There's no world that I'm taking Havertz over Gordon.
Okay, stop making it personal. Be objective.
Okay, Gordon.
I think Gordon too.
I go Gordon also.
Yeah, okay. This is a good one. This is like positional difference one. So Wissa or McNeil?
I
Tiko,
go
you're high.
McNeil.
You're high on Wissa, Tiko. I noticed on your
Yeah.
rankings.
No, I'll go McNeil.
I go McNeil also.
McNeil. Yeah, I think that's just the point. The points are just too good there.
Yeah, and
The
the ghost
amount
points.
of points that McNeil generates, even if you
Yeah.
are a Wissa fan, you know.
Yeah,
Also,
McNeil.
if it's a close one, go with midfielder.
Well, I think in the past, yes, I think this new season, I'm not sure how much you watched the last episode, but it seems like there's a little bit of a shift towards forward being a little scarcer now.
Well, it's not just that you get. I know it's not a big deal, but you get 1 extra point for clean sheets.
But you also get, and you can play 5 of them as opposed to being able to play 3 forwards. But yeah, I think forward is going to be interesting. There's just a scarcity there.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Okay, these next 3 questions, Enzo, you can do. I have no clue what they're even asking.
Okay, so which player has played the most seasons but also been substituted off in the Premier League?
It's someone that's like in our realm of. It's not like a random name.
Is
No,
this like
he was a
someone
star
played in like 1950? Like,
no, this is the Premier League. So the Premier League's only been around since '96. So figure it from '96 onwards.
But like someone that we like talk about occasionally.
Yeah, someone that you would know.
But what is it?
You
Are they still in the league?
You want some hints?
Yeah, are they still in the league?
No, they're not still in the league.
Most
That's your hint?
seasons subbed off the most. Wayne Rooney.
No, right team though. He's
Played the most
Welsh.
Seasons. Giggs.
There you go. So he's played the most seasons, not necessarily the most appearances, but he's also been substituted off the most. Also,
Aren't his goal assist numbers actually like really bad when you look
Yeah.
at statistics? Like they're really,
Really
he's not
bad.
like that elite at all.
No, but he's got a lot of hockey assists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
next
Who
one.
holds the record for most Premier League appearances? You guys should all know this one.
Is it a goalie?
No, it's not a goalie.
Is it Alan Shearer?
No.
No, that was gonna be my guess too. Rio?
Probably a
He's
player who
played-
started really young and played in the Premier League their whole career.
Is it Rio?
No.
Is it a defender?
He's a centre midfielder.
Frank Lampard?
No.
He's played for Villa.
James Milner, obviously.
No.
No?
Gareth. That was what I thought it was going to be. Gareth Barry.
More appearances than
653 games.
Can we fact check some of these?
I've got them on the internet right here.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, you saying you have it on the internet means nothing to us.
All right. What goalkeeper has the most clean sheets in Premier League history?
Onana.
No.
most clean sheets in Premier League history. It's going to be Van der Sar,
Nope.
Peter Cech.
Peter Cech, 202.
Yep. All right, are we done?
Yeah, we're done.
This has been episode 96 of Draft Offsides. My name is Keefe. I'm with Tiko and Enzo, and we will see you soon, very soon. The rankings are coming up. We are almost done with ours. It's waiting on Tiko.
Just waiting on Tiko.
No, I'm joking. We're waiting on Sergey, actually.
No, we're waiting on Tiko. You seen his
Are we?
rankings?
Let me see. Have you looked at his tab?
Yeah, it's fucking scattered,
messy?
mate. It's fucking scattered, bruv.